So I became a historian, I think, is actually a pretty simple story. That I always read history books as a kid. I mean, I started reading at a fairly early age. One of my favorite early books was A Child's History of the World. I think I still have my copy of that. At one point I picked up something called The Pageant of Russian History. By the time I was in third grade, maybe a little bit earlier, I was reading a lot of the landmark books, which are quite popular for I guess serious young readers. By the time when I was in fifth grade, and we lived 1 year. I grew up in Chicago, but we lived 1 year in Gainesville, Florida. My dad was an academic, and his first job was at the university there. That year, I edited our so-called class book on the American Revolution. Wound up writing on topics mostly out of the World Book. As I recall, that I wound up working on in my first real book on the Continental Congress, which came out of my Harvard dissertation. And then we moved back to Chicago when I was in sixth grade. And I think at that point I really plunged into World War II books. And I read a lot of those memoirs. There used to be the World War II books. I think were then quite popular is when the paperback book market was taking off. I remember all the Ballantine was a great publisher of World War II books. I remember reading C. Vann Woodward's a wartime history of the famous Battle of Leyte Gulf when I was a kid, and even a number of other books like that. And then I went then I had a great high school education, Evanston High, outside Chicago, and then went on to Haverford. And I guess I was always in the fast track, whatever, the AP lane for history and social studies. And of course Haverford was a small college, and it was and remains, and small colleges of that kind, and Haverford in particular, like Swarthmore and Bryn Mawr, and Amherst and schools like that, produced a disproportionate number of likely PhDs. My undergraduate mentors were Wallace McCaffrey, who came to Harvard at the same time I did. I came as a graduate student. He came, of course, as a faculty member. Roger Lane, who studied with Oscar Hanlon, I think was in his starting his second year at Haverford when I showed up in '64. So I think I had positive reinforcement all along. History was just always my natural interest. The only strange thing that happened is when I came to Harvard and started working with Bernard Bailyn, I put my interest in modern history aside and became more of an 18th century guy.